Okay guys, we've got section 4 and this is unusual for section 4. Section 4 is mainly one word only. Most of the time 90% chances are in section 4 you will get one word only, but otherwise there can be multiple choice, there can be matching. This is matching type of questions. So Australian Aboriginal rock paintings. Aboriginal means the old civilization of Australia, the old people, and their rock painting. Rock painting is on the rocks, they have painted certain things. That is what they call rock art as well. And rock art is very common in IELTS reading. There are some passages on it and IELTS listening. So Australian Aboriginal rock painting. Which painting style have the following features? Now listen, questions 31 to 36, these are features. And options, painting styles, they are dynamic, yam, and modern. And by the way, if you don't know the meaning of yam, will it be troublesome? Not at all, just a style. Yeah, for example, I say lipstick ka naam hai yam. Now, it's a lipstick. Do you need to know naam? Matlab kya hai? Not at all, okay? Dynamic, even you don't need to know the meaning of dynamic. Dynamic, yam, modern, that's it. Now, question number 31. Figures revealing bones. So they have figures which are revealing bones. जैसे नहीं हड्डियों का ढांचा होता है, आपने देखा होगा, खोपड़ी होती है and all that. So figures revealing bones, is it dynamic or yam or modern? अब जरा सुनिएगा ऑडियो को, okay? And then decide. And answer is going to be A, B or C. Let's see.
Section 4. You will hear a lecturer giving a talk about Australian rock art to a group of archaeology students.
Good morning, everyone. I've been invited to talk about my research project into Australian Aboriginal rock paintings. The Australian Aborigines have recorded both real and symbolic images of their time on rock walls for many thousands of years. Throughout the long history of this tradition, new images have appeared and new painting styles have developed. And these characteristics can be used to categorize the different artistic styles. Among these are what we call the dynamic, yam, and modern styles of painting. One of the most significant characteristics of the different styles is the way that humans are depicted in the paintings. The more recent paintings show people in static poses, but the first human images to dominate rock art paintings over 8,000 years ago were full of movement. These paintings showed people hunting and cooking food, and so they were given the name dynamic to reflect this energy. It's quite amazing considering they were painted in such a simple stick-like form. In the yam period, there was a movement away from stick figures to a more naturalistic shape. However, they didn't go as far as the modern style, which is known as X-ray because it actually makes a feature of the internal skeleton as well as the organs of animals and humans.
X-ray. Last 2, 3, 4 sentences contains the answer. The last style is X-ray, and which is figuring, revealing bones and all that, and that is modern. Just listen to this last part. I play it again. Don't worry.
Section 4.
Hunting and cooking food,
Now,
and so they were given the name dynamic to reflect this energy. It's quite amazing considering they were painted in such a simple stick-like form. In the yam period, there was a movement away from stick figures to a more naturalistic shape. However, they didn't go as far as the modern style,
As far as the modern style,
which is known as X-ray because
which is known as X-ray. अब X-ray में आपको हड्डियां ही नजर आती हैं. Yes, skeleton, bones and all that. So 31 answer is C. Okay, now 32 rounded figures. Now आपने ये देखना है कि rounded figures का किस में आए थे? Dynamic में आए थे, yam में आया था, या फिर modern में आया था. ठीक है? Let's see.
the yam style of painting got its name from the fact that it featured much curvier figures that actually resemble the vegetable called a yam.
Okay, much curvier figures. Much curvier means rounded figures. And which one is that? Yam. Please listen again.
The yam style of painting got its name from the fact that it featured much curvier figures that actually resemble the vegetable called a yam, which is
Vegetable called yam. curvier vegetable. Okay, so rounded figures, answer is B, yam. But you will not write yam, you will just write B. Okay, question number 33, figures with parts missing. Figures with parts missing mean किसी का सर नहीं है, किसी का बाजू नहीं है, some parts missing. Let's see what that is. Figures with parts missing, 33.
The modern paintings are interesting because they include paintings at the time of the first contact with European settlers. Aborigines managed to convey the idea of the settlers' clothing by simply painting the Europeans without any hands, indicating the habit of standing with their hands in their pockets.
So, C, that's right, modern and without hands. Exactly, without hands means figures with parts missing. So, parts are hands. Exactly. Question number 34, figures smaller than life size. Life size means एक इंसान का कद इतना होता है, उससे छोटा बनाया. Figures smaller than, हाथी बड़ा होता है, उसका फिगर बनाया उससे छोटा. So figures smaller than life size. Life size का मतलब है original size जो उसका होता है. It's that. So let's see. Question number 34.
Size is another characteristic. The more recent images tend to be life size or even larger, but the dynamic figures are painted in miniature.
Dynamic miniature. Miniature means, yeah, figures smaller than life size. Miniature means mini. So smaller than life size. Miniature. Okay, 35. Sea creatures. मैं दोबारा कह रहा हूं, इस टेस्ट को जाके रिपीट करना है, खपना है, एक एक वर्ड को देखना है, यहां पे क्या लिखा है, वहां पे क्या बोल रहे हैं, फिर उसको समझना है. ऐसे नहीं इसको छोड़ देना, वरना लिस्टिंग सही नहीं होगी कभी भी. और इस आज की क्लास से अगली क्लास के दरमियान कम से कम 10 लिस्टिंग के प्रैक्टिस टेस्ट सॉल्व करने, फिर बात बनेगी. फिर अगली क्लास में आप ऐसे अकड़ के बैठेंगे, फिर भोले वाले नहीं, सही वाले समझ के. एग्जैक्टली ये. और अगर इसको जाके छोड़ दिया, फेंक दिया, तो फिर कोई फायदा नहीं होगा. और आज से मॉक टेस्ट के दरमियान, यानी परसों आपका मॉक टेस्ट है, कम से कम 5 से 8 लिस्निंग के टेस्ट सॉल्व करने, फिर कोर्स का फायदा होगा. फिर अभी जो जहाज गुजरा है इसमें आप बैठे होंगे इंशाल्लाह ताला. फिर आप नीचे देखें, ओए रॉयल पाम आया ही, ये खिड़की वाली सीट लेनी है. एग्जैक्टली. ये ना हो कि वहां से ट्रेन पे गुजरे रॉयल पाम आया, ठीक है. तो जहाज पे गुजर के रॉयल पाम देखना है, ट्रेन से नहीं देखना. एग्जैक्टली. या चिंगची पे बैठे हुए तो जी रॉयल पाम आया, नहीं, जहाज से ऊपर से. एग्जैक्टली. अच्छा जी, लेट्स गो ऑन. सी क्रीचर्स देखते हैं क्या कहते हैं. डायनामिक, यैम और मॉडर्न.
Aboriginal rock art also records the environmental changes that occurred over thousands of years. For example, we know from the dynamic paintings that over 8,000 years ago, Aborigines would have rarely eaten fish, and sea levels were much lower at this time. In fact, fish didn't start to appear in paintings until the Yam period, along with shells and other marine images.
Fish didn't start appearing until the Yam period. So sea creatures came in Yam. Absolutely. Fish didn't start appearing. I play it again. Didn't start appearing. Fish का मतलब है sea creatures. दोबारा सुनिएगा.
Aboriginal rock art also records the environmental changes that occurred over thousands of years. For example, we know from the dynamic paintings that over 8,000 years ago, Aborigines would have rarely eaten fish, and sea levels were much lower at this time. In fact, fish didn't start to appear in paintings until the Yam period, along with...
Okay, until the Yam period. So means Yam period के बाद fish started appearing in painting. So sea creatures, option B, Yam. Question number 36, plants. So let's see, where were the plants in dynamic, Yam or modern? These are painting styles.
The paintings of the Yam tradition also suggest that during this time, the Aborigines moved away from animals as their main food source and began including vegetables in their diet, as these feature prominently.
It is again B, Yam, and they moved from animals to plants. I play this one again.
The paintings of the Yam tradition also suggest that during this time, the Aborigines moved away from animals as their main food source and began including vegetables in their diet, as these feature prominently.
Okay, as these featured prominently. Vegetables, so vegetables की जगह पे plants का word आ गया. Okay. Alright guys, now let's go on. We've got questions 37 to 40. Complete the notes below. write no more than 2 words. So this time, no more than 2 words and notes completion. Okay, let's start. Rainbow serpent project. Serpent is another word for snake. और ये जो तस्वीर है इसमें सांप नजर आ रहा है? Yeah. Rainbow serpent project. It's the name of the project. Aim of project: to identify the dash used as the basis for the rainbow serpent. To identify. Now they are going to replace this word identify and after that whatever they say, that will be the answer. So please listen.
So these paintings have already taught us a lot. But one image that has always intrigued us is known as the rainbow serpent. The rainbow serpent, which is the focus of my most recent project, gets its name from its snake or serpent-like body, and it first appeared in the Yam period 4,000 to 6,000 years ago. Many believe it is a curious mixture of kangaroo, snake and crocodile. But we decided to study the rainbow serpent paintings to see if we could locate the animal that the
To see if we could locate the animal. So if we could locate, अब identify को underline करें और यहां पे लिखें locate. ठीक है? Identify की जगह पे word क्या आ गया? Locate का. और ये repeat होंगे. Identify का word दोबारा जब मिलेगा IELTS पे कहीं पे, उसकी जगह पे locate का word आएगा. अब इसको जरा दोबारा सुनिएगा. 37
years ago. Many believe it is a curious mixture of kangaroo, snake and crocodile. But we decided to study the rainbow serpent paintings to see if we could locate the animal that the very first painters based their image on.
Okay, we could locate the animal that the very first painters based their image on. So the answer is animal. Let's go on. Yam period. Question number 38. Environmental changes led to higher. Higher को underline करें. Higher की जगह पे कोई और word आएगा और उसके साथ आंसर, यानी हायर का मतलब है ऊपर जाना, उसकी जगह पे इंक्रीज या राइज या कोई भी और ऐसा वर्ड. अब देखते हैं वो वर्ड क्या है. हायर.
The Yam period coincided with the end of the last ice age. This brought about tremendous change in the environment, with the sea levels rising and creeping steadily inland.
With the sea levels rising. अब हायर की जगह पे वर्ड क्या आ गया? राइजिंग. ठीक है, आंसर क्या हो जाएगा? Sea level. Okay, let's go on. Question number 39. Traditional activities were affected especially. अब जो traditional activities जो जिन पे effect आया वो affect हुई और उनमें एक activity का नाम लेंगे. Especially, particularly, mainly या कुछ भी ऐसा. Question number 39.
This flooded many familiar land features and also caused a great deal of disruption to traditional patterns of life, hunting in particular.
Hunting in particular. अब in particular की जगह पे क्या आ गया? Especially. ये सीख जाएं बस, फिर आप स्टेज पे बैठे होंगे, किसी दिन IELTS पढ़ा रहे होंगे. ज्यादा हो गया? आपने तो अभी स्टेज पे बैठ जाना है. आपका तो माशाल्लाह मीनारे पाकिस्तान के ऊपर खड़े होकर लेक्चर देना है. ठीक है? All right. So the answer is hunting. Question number 40. Rainbow serpent images. अच्छा, अब यहाँ पे ऑडियो पहले बा चलेगी क्योंकि 2 पॉइंट्स के बाद एंड पे आंसर आ रहे हैं. तो सी हॉर्स को अंडरलाइन कर लें. ऑडियो को ट्रैक करना बड़ा जरूरी है. अगर आपने सिर्फ क्वेश्चन नंबर 40 पे पेन रखा हुआ है ना, बाकी की ऑडियो नहीं सुन रहे, तो आंसर आएगा और गुजर जाएगा. जब आंसर गुजर जाएगा फिर आपको झटका लगेगा, लेकिन उसके बाद कोई फायदा नहीं. इतनी इंफॉर्मेशन होती है कि दिमाग में रिटेन नहीं रहती. मतलब ये बातें याद रखना मुश्किल है. ठीक है, तो अब सी हॉर्स को अंडरलाइन करें. जब सी हॉर्स की बात करेंगे तो मतलब है कि ये यहां पे पहुंच गए. अनयूजुअल बिकॉज इट अपीयर्ड इन इनलैंड एरियाज. इनलैंड एरियाज को अंडरलाइन करें. जब इनलैंड एरियाज में पहुंच जाए तो आपने अब एक्टिव हो जाना है. अब आपका आंसर आने लगा. क्वेश्चन नंबर 40. सिंबलाइजेस डैश इन एबोरिजिनल कल्चर. सिंबलाइजेस. अब सिंबलाइजेस की जगह पे वो सिंबल का वर्ड यूज कर सकते हैं. इट्स अ सिंबल ऑफ. सिंबलाइजेस की जगह पे साइन का वर्ड यूज कर सकते हैं. फर्ज करें अगर हम इसका आंसर लिखते हैं सिंबलाइजेस लव, तो क्या होगा? सिंबल ऑफ लव, साइन ऑफ लव, समथिंग, पोर्ट्रेट ऑफ लव. इट पोर्ट्रेज लव, राइट? सो लेट्स सी क्वेश्चन नंबर 40.
New shores were formed and totally different creatures would have washed up onto the shores. We studied 107 paintings of the rainbow serpent and found that the one creature that matches it most closely was the ribboned pipefish, which is a type of seahorse. This sea creature would have been a totally unfamiliar sight in the inland regions where the image is found, and it may have been the inspiration behind the early paintings. So, at the end of the Ice Age, there would have been enormous changes in animal and plant life. It's not surprising, then, that the Aborigines linked this abundance to the new creatures they witnessed. Even today, Aborigines see the rainbow serpent as a symbol of creation, which is understandable given the increase in vegetation and the new life forms that featured when the image first appeared.
As a symbol of creation. So symbolizes creation, symbol of creation. ठीक हो गया. अब इसको प्लीज रिपीट कर ले. इस तरह के अगर आपने 10 टेस्ट खुद से सॉल्व कर लिए ना समझ के, तो 11वें पे आपके 35-38 करेक्ट आंसर्स आ जाएंगे. ठीक है. मेरे एक स्टूडेंट थे इंडियन पंजाब से, उसका नाम क्या था, तनवीर सिंह, नहीं रहने दें, तनवीर सिंह फ्रॉम इंडियन पंजाब. व्हेन ही स्टार्टेड उनका लिस्निंग में 5 बैंड आता था. करते करते उन्होंने एक टेस्ट को किया, बार बार किया, अपने आंसर्स को इंप्रूव किया. व्हेन ही रीच 35 करेक्ट आंसर्स, ऑडियो की स्पीड तेज कर दी. ऑडियो की स्पीड 1.25. उस पर जब आंसर्स देखे पहली दफ़ा में 25 ठीक हुए, 28 ठीक हुए, 30 हुए. जब उसमें 35 आंसर ठीक हो गए, फिर उसके बाद अगेन ही इंक्रीज द स्पीड बाय 1.5. उस पर प्रैक्टिस किया एंड देन ही अचीव्ड 8777 एक्चुअली. लेकिन आपको ऑडियो की स्पीड चेंज करने से फ़र्क नहीं पड़ेगा. ठीक है, आप अपने हिसाब से चलें. और बस ये जो पॉइंट्स मैंने बताए हैं ना, अभी हमने जो 40 क्वेश्चन सॉल्व किए हैं, अगर ये 40 के 40 पॉइंट्स आपको समझ आते हैं तो आपका 9 बैंड बनता है. 39 पे 9 बैंड है, 39 करेक्ट आंसर्स पे. ठीक है, और वो फिर जो जो पीछे आते जाएंगे वो फिर अकॉर्डिंगली आपका बैंड स्कोर बनेगा. राइट, ऑल द बेस्ट. ओके, लेट्स टेक अ स्टार्ट. सेक्शन 4 and IELTS listening section 4, there is always a lecture. We call it part of a lecture. Right? It's 5-minute talk given by one person, and the level of fluency is good here. I mean, some students think it is fast. Actually, it is not fast, but it is fluent. And initially, they will give you 1 minute to read questions 31 to 40. In the middle, then there is no break. Then the audio will go on farlu, means fast and fast, right? It's just like fast and furious. So many students think in part 4 audio is 1.25. It's not 1.25, it's just fluent audio, okay? So let's see. Complete the notes below. Write one word and or a number. And by the way, in part 1 and part 2, you can get 10 by 10. I mean, in part 2, it's only one word only most of the time, and what is written before the blank, if you know the synonym of that word, you can easily find the answer. Okay, I'll tell you how. I'll show you how. So, concerts in university arts festival. Now they're going to talk about concerts. So switch on your imagination. Think about concert. Think about Atif Aslam on the stage, la 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 la, and people are listening to his music. So concerts in university arts festival, like in the university, there is a concert. They will talk about a concert like that. Concert number 1. Can you see Lisa Lim? So now the clue take or important point. When there is a bullet point without a question, don't read it. Just underline the word Lisa Lim here. Now question number 31. Studied piano and dash. Answer is a musical instrument. All clear? And by the way, for and, they might use also. Right? And there can be a trap. A trap can be she didn't learn flute, although she wanted to, but instead of that, she learned guitar. Answer is guitar. Listen carefully. So answer is going to come with piano, and for and, they might use the word also. Let's see. It's a musical instrument.
The first concert will include music by Liza Lim, who was born in Perth, Western Australia, in 1966. As a child, Lim originally learned to play the piano, like so many children, and also the violin. But when she...
And also the violin. Now, how do you spell violin? W-I-O-V-I-O-L-I-N. Violin. That's right. Now see that IELTS listening is the best way to improve your pronunciation. If you say violin, it's violin. Violin. So the correct answer is violin. Okay, now can you see in the second bullet point, there is no question. So when they give you 1 minute to read the questions, you will not read this. Underline the last word, commissions. That's it. Right? So that when in the audio they say commissions, you know they have reached here. Right? Okay, question number 32. Compositions show. Composition is like music composition because we are talking about concerts. Compositions show a great deal of, underline great deal of, right? A word or a phrase that is going to represent great deal of, and after that your answer will come. Now I give you a clue like this. Underline great deal of and write there full of. For example, her songs show a great deal of romance. Her songs are full of romance. Aren't they the same things? Right? So, great deal of and full of, whatever they say after full of, that will be your answer. Let's see.
As a composer, she has received commissions from numerous orchestras, other performers, and festivals in several countries. Liza Lim's compositions are vibrant and full of energy, and she often explores
vibrant and full of energy. So, a great deal of and full of. Now, next time in IELTS, whenever you see great deal of, wait for full of. Or if you see full of, wait for great deal of. Energy is right. And have you noticed answers are very simple words? Violin, energy, and all that. Okay, question number 33. Her music is very expressive and also. Right? Now listen, one quality of her music is that the music is expressive. Along with that, they're going to describe the second quality. Right? And for and also, they might use the word although it is. For example, if they say her music is very expressive, although it is sad. Answer is sad. So for and also, they will use although it is sad. So for and also, another method to paraphrase is although it is. Although it is. Now listen carefully and you'll get the answer.
This is featured in a work called The Compass. Her music is very expressive. So, although it is complex, it has the power of connecting with audiences and performers alike.
Although it is complex, it has the power to connect with the audience and all that. So the answer is complex. C-O-M-P-L-E-X. Right. Question number 34. Festival will include her dash called the Orestia. Alright, now listen, they have a festival. Festival is going to include her dash called Orestia. Orestia is the name of that album maybe, right? It can be her album or her song or her music, or it can be the genre of music. It can be the type of music. Let's see, question number 34.
In the festival, we're going to give a semi-staged performance of the Oresteia. This is an opera in 7 parts.
Oresteia, this is an opera. Do you know opera? A fat lady crying, like that, okay? Yeah. So, how do you spell opera? O-P-E-R-A, opera. There's no language of opera. I just have to understand the expression. If she's like, it means she's crying. She's happy, okay? Like in that movie, Dil Wale Dulhaniya Le Jayenge. You know, there is a song, Ruk Jao, Dil Diwane. Before that, there is the opera. Okay? Yeah, the fat lady singing and all that. Okay, question number 35. Lim described the sound in Orestia or Oresta as dash. Now, sounds in Oresta, they are what? No, listen, that's an opera. In the opera, there are some sounds. And those sounds are sad sounds, happy sounds, joyful sounds. So let's see what those sounds are.
Lim wrote that because the stories in the tragedies are not easy to tell. The sounds she creates are also disturbing, and they include breathing.
The sounds she creates are also Disturbing. So sounds are just disturbing. So Lim described the sounds in Orestia as they are disturbing. Okay, now listen, try to understand. The sounds in Orestia as disturbing, for that they use the word the sounds are disturbing. So the right answer is disturbing. Okay, now concept 2. And can you see in concept 2, first 3 bullet points without any question. You're not going to waste your time to read them. In the first bullet point, please underline the word Judy. In the second bullet point, underline the word Ross. And third bullet point, underline the word nature. Inspired by nature. And the next one we are going to read because there is question number 36. The tower of remoteness is performed by piano and dash. Now, piano and another musical instrument. Now, let me tell you, we only know few basic names of musical instruments. So if there is unusual name and you don't know the spelling, just try to focus the sound of that. Because they never check your vocabulary, actually. They only check your ability to listen. So the words that they have, they're going to be very, very clear. Even if you don't know the spelling, even if you don't know the meaning of the word. Now the word you're going to write here, you don't know the meaning of that. But just focus the sound and write the correct spelling of that. Let's see.
Moving on now to our second concert. This will begin with instrumental music by British composers Benjamin Britten and Judith Weir. After the interval, we'll go to Australia for a piece by Ross Edwards, The Tower of Remoteness. According to Edwards, the inspiration for this piece came from nature, when he was sitting alone in the dry bed of a creek, overshadowed by the leaves of palm trees, listening to the birds and insects. The Tower of Remoteness is scored for piano and clarinet.
Now write it down. Clarinet, clarinet, clarification, clarinet, internet, clarinet. How do you spell? C-L-A-R-I-N-E-T. Okay, so even if you don't know clarinet or you don't know what sort of musical instrument is that, clarinet, clarinet. Don't leave any blank, okay? Clari from clarification and net from network, internet and all that. Okay, clarinet is the right answer. Okay, next we've got question number 37. Celebrates Australia's cultural dash. Something related to cultural. Australia's cultural diversity, Australia's cultural issues, cultural norms, cultural something. There is one thing which is called all right, group of words that come together. Collocations. You should go through collocations. Now, let me tell you, when I said the word Australia's cultural, who said diversity? That is collocation. Cultural diversity, cultural problems, cultural issues. So this is what we call collocations. These are the words that come together. Sometimes through collocations, you can get the right answers. Okay? I will share a handout on collocations with you so you can easily get that. I'm saying it with the mic off. You know why. All right, so let's go on. After this, we have question number 37. Celebrates Australia's cultural dash.
Edwards's music has been described as being deeply connected to Australia, and it can be regarded as a celebration of the diversity of cultures that Australia can be proud of.
Diversity of cultures. Now listen, Australia's cultural diversity, diversity of cultures. See that again for apostrophe S, they use diversity of cultures. So the correct answer is diversity, okay? Next we go on. Concept number 3. Can you see 2 points, 2 bullet points without a question? Please underline Calvine and then underline piano. Question number 38. Studied dash before studying music. Answer will be a subject. For example, studied chemistry before studying music. Studied biology before studying music. Studied arts, studied literature. So answer is going to be a sort of subject. Now, have you noticed it's not as difficult? So part 4 is always like this. Set your target that in part 1 and part 4, I'll score 10 by 10. Whenever you practice. Yes, and part 2 is even easier. Only part 3 can be difficult because of multiple choice questions, but otherwise it's all fine. So let's see.
The last of the 3 Australian composers to be represented in our festival is Carl Vine. Born in 1954, Vine, like Liza Lim, comes from Perth, Western Australia. He took up the cornet at the age of 5, switching to the piano 5 years later. However, he went to university to study physics before changing to composition.
All right, to study physics before changing to composition. And for composition, they use the word music. So answer is physics. F. Not F-Y. All right, P-H-Y-S-I-C-S, physics. Okay, next bullet point, pianist and composer, no question. Question number 39. Became well known as composer of music for dash. Listen, music for dash means type of music. Rock music, music for rock. Alright, so music for dash can be type of music or purpose of that music. Music for films. And for that they can say film music. Right? Let's see what do they say.
Before long, he had become prominent in Australia as a composer for dance, and in fact has written 25 scores of that type.
Dance of that type, 25 scores of that type, means composer of music for dance. Right? Dance, not dance. Yeah, chance or chanas. Chips or chippus. Good. All right. Any other example? Biscuit or biscuit? Biscuit. Yeah, chewing gum or chigum? Security. Exactly. Anyway, so this one is dance. Dance. Question number 40. Festival will include his music for the 1996 dash. Now, if, something happened in 1996. When did Pakistan win the World Cup? 1992. Right, 4 years after that, there was another thing. Let's see. Okay, I play that. Just focus 1996.
In our third concert, Vine will be represented by his music for the flag handover ceremony of the Olympics held in 1996.
Olympics held in 1996. Olympics, how do you spell? Olympics. Olympics. Got it? All right. Now listen. We completed one test together, and there are many other tests. One thing I have realized that when I give you the right direction, you guys find the answers, right? But the problem is going to be when you do a test with me, you'll be fine. When you're going to do it alone, because alone you cannot look at all these things. I translated, I told you the synonyms they use and all that. So practice as much as possible, independently and dependently. Dependently, like now we did a test dependently. So for this dependent learning, I will share my listening study plan with you, and that is going to help you a lot. And then you can solve the tests independently. Make sure, as soldiers should have a gun, right? Any craftsman should have his tools. So IELTS candidates must have their books, 16 books. The other day someone told me, how many books? Someone asked me, I said 16. He said, do I need to buy all of them? I said, not only buy them, but also study them also. So there are 16 books, and each book contains 4 practice tests. So I advise you all to get all 16 books. If you take 2 tests a day, you can finish all the books in how many days? 32 days, right? And if you've got more time, 1 test a day, 64 days. But you must complete all these books because IELTS, one more thing. When you go to take your actual IELTS test, there is a huge variety. Some tests are literally very easy peasy, and some tests are very complex. And for them, it's normal. Right? But for the candidates, It is abnormal because some tests are full of multiple choice questions that can make the test difficult. So you should practice from book 1 and book 16, book 2, book 15, book 3, book 14, so that you cover the gap. And make sure before you go to your actual IELTS exam, you just go through all these books. Nothing is going to come from these books. Let me tell you, in actual exam, nothing, not a single question will come from these 16 books, but that is the only thing which they're going to follow is the pattern. Pattern is going to be same as we have in these books, okay? All right, thank you. Okay guys, now we have part 4, and most of the time part 4 is one word only. And there is always a lecture in part 4. It's going to be a part of a lecture. And when there is a lecture, there will be one person who will be delivering that lecture. So most of the time students complain that part 4 is very fast. It's not fast, it's fluent. Okay, there is one technique that you can use to deal with IELTS listening part 4. I call it signposting. In part 4, it's very easy that you are going to get lost. Like audio is somewhere and you are somewhere. For example, audio is on question number 33 and you don't know where is the audio and all that. So signposting is you need to underline some words and those words will help you catch the audio. I tell you how. One word only, no number. Sometimes they say one word and or a number. And sometimes in part 4, we do have multiple choice. Sometimes 3, 4 multiple choice and then one word only. So, how the Industrial Revolution, underline Industrial Revolution, affected life in Britain. Imagine Industrial Revolution when machinery took the place of men, or when men were replaced by machinery. That was Industrial Revolution. Before that, people used to do manual work and then they had machinery for that. So how the Industrial Revolution affected life in Britain? First, they have 19th century. Can you see that? Underline it. Then underline manufacturing. Then underline transport. And then underline retailing. So this is what I call sort of signposting. If they talk about manufacturing, you have to be there. If they talk about transport, and obviously questions and answers are in order. They are always in order in listening. So 19th century. For the first time, people's possessions, underline people's possessions. And by the way, what do they mean by people's possessions? Means if someone has a car, someone has jewelry, someone has big house, someone has gold or diamond, silver, anything like that. So that is what we call people's possessions. Possession means what is in your possession. So for the first time, people's possessions were used to measure Britain's dash. To measure Britain's what? They used people's possession to measure Britain's something. Now please focus and answer.
Hi everyone. In this session, I'll be presenting my research about the social history of Britain during the Industrial Revolution. I particularly looked at how ordinary lives were affected by changes that happened at that time. This was a time that saw the beginning of a new phenomenon, consumerism, where buying and selling goods became a major part of ordinary people's lives. In fact, it was in the 19th century that the quantity and quality of people's possessions was used as an indication of the wealth of the country. Before this, the vast majority of people had very few possessions, but all that was changed by the Industrial Revolution.
Okay, as an indication of wealth. So to measure Britain's wealth as an indication of. Just listen to this last part.
Hi everyone. Selling goods became a major part of ordinary people's lives. In fact, it was in the 19th century that the quantity and quality of people's possessions was used as an indication of the wealth of the country.
Of the wealth of the country. For of the country they used Britain's. So answer is wealth. Very good. Question number 32. Developments in production of goods and. Now this question contains two parts. One is production of goods. With production of goods, the second thing they tell us, that will be the answer. And over here, and is very important. For and, they can use not only but also. For and, they can use as well. For and, they can use also, or any other way to replace it. So, production of goods, when they talk about production of goods, be alert, whatever the second thing they tell you, that will be the answer. And in part 4, there are always a couple of questions with and, where one thing is mentioned and second thing is missing.
This was the era from the mid-18th to the late 19th century, when improvements in how goods were made, as well as in technology, triggered massive social changes that transformed life for just about everybody in several key areas.
As well as in technology. And for production of goods, they use the word how goods were made. How goods were made. Please listen again. Part 4 is very important. With the little extra effort, you can make it, because in part 3, you are highly likely to miss the answers. And in part 4, you can get it back. Please listen to it again.
This was the era from the mid-18th to the late 19th century, when improvements in how goods were made, as well as in technology,
So in is another good clue word, in technology. Right? Technology is the right answer. Main areas of change, manufacturing, industrial revolution. I'm reading question number 33. Industrial revolution would not have happened without the new types of. For new types, they can use another word. So, means industrial revolution was because of new types of something. Because they said industrial revolution would not have happened without the new types of. For new types of, they may use the word new sources of. Right? Let's see.
First, let's look at manufacturing. When it comes to manufacturing, we tend to think of the Industrial Revolution in images of steam engines and coal. And it's true that the Industrial Revolution couldn't have taken place at all if it weren't for these new sources of power. They marked an important shift.
Power couldn't have taken place, would not have happened. And with the new sources of power and new types of power. Okay. Let's go on. Question number 34. Leading industry was dash. In Britain, leading industry. Leading industry means number one industry. Right? Let's see.
The most advanced industry for much of the 19th century was textiles. This meant that fashionable
Textiles. T-A-X-E-X. Well done. T-E-X-T-I-L-E. Singular or plural. Both ways it's right. Textile. In the audio, they use textiles. So, but you may write singular or plural. L-E-S, yeah. Question number 35. New dash made factories necessary. New. For new, they may use the word latest. Advanced dash made factories necessary, and so more people moved into towns.
Before the Industrial Revolution, most people made goods to sell in small workshops, often in their own homes. But enormous new machines were now being created that could produce the goods faster and on a larger scale.
Enormous new machines were created. Machines will be the right answer. Okay, next is transport. Question number 36. Because of the new transport, greater access to dash made people more aware of what they could buy in shops. Now listen, greater access means reach. Greater access to something, and that thing actually made people more aware. For example, greater access to television. And then they say made people more aware. You know, television makes us aware. Or it can be greater access to radio. That makes people more aware. So whatever they are going to talk about, answer is going to be a sort of media related thing. Why? Because made people more aware. Question number 36.
As well as manufacturing, there were new technologies in transport, contributing to the growth of consumerism. The horse-drawn stagecoaches and carts of the 18th century which carried very few people and goods and travelled slowly along poorly surfaced roads, were gradually replaced by the numerous canals that were constructed. These were particularly important for the transportation of goods. The canals gradually fell out of use, though, as railways were developed, becoming the main way of moving goods and people from one end of the country to the other. And the goods they moved weren't just coal, iron, clothes, and so on. Significantly, they included newspapers, which meant that thousands of people were not only more knowledgeable about what was going on in the country, but could also read about what was available in the shops.
Okay.
And that encouraged them to buy more.
Answer is newspapers. And then they took a long time to come to that point. So you got to wait for that. Newspapers. Question number 37. When shopping, people were not limited to buying dash goods. Dash goods means type of goods. For example, when shopping, people were not limited to buying imported goods, exported goods, local goods, or anything like that. And for goods, they can use things or whatever.
So faster forms of transport resulted in distribution becoming far more efficient. Goods could now be sold all over the country instead of just in the local market.
Goods could be sold all over the country instead of just local market. People were not limited to buying local goods. Try to understand this thing. I play it again.
So faster forms of transport resulted in distribution becoming far more efficient. Goods could now be sold all over the country instead of just in the local market.
Okay, question number 38. And you can see there is 1 point, retailing. First, department stores were opened, underline department stores. Next, displays of goods were more visible. Displays of goods were visible. You know, the showcase, windows and all that. So display of goods were more visible inside stores because of better. Now listen, things were more visible inside the stores because of better what? For better, they usually use the word improved, right? Or any other word. So let's see improved or better what?
The third main area that saw changes that contributed to consumerism was retailing. The number and quality of shops grew rapidly, and in particular, small shops suffered as customers flocked to the growing number of department stores, a form of retailing that was new in the 19th century. The entrepreneurs who opened these found new ways to stock them with goods and to attract customers. For instance, improved lighting inside greatly increased the visibility of the goods for sale.
For example, improved lighting. And I have seen this thing in many tests. Same word, better. And for better, they use improved. Simple. Lighting is the right answer. Okay. Question number 39. Outside stores because dash were bigger. Now something improved outside the stores because dash were bigger. Now what was bigger? For bigger, they can use the word big in size. Gigantic, enormous, or any other word like that. So just focus a thing which they mention in the audio, and that is big in size.
Another development that made goods more visible from outside resulted from the use of plate glass, which made it possible for windows to be much larger than previously.
Which made the windows to be possible much larger. Right? So answer is not plate glass.
Another development that made goods more visible from outside resulted from the use of plate glass.
Now, they did not say plate glass means like bigger plate glass and all that. It's not plate glass.
Which made it possible for windows to be much larger than previously.
Made possible for the windows to be much larger. Much larger means big in size. And they are talking about windows. Question number 40. Dash that was persuasive. Now listen, whenever they use that is, that was, usually, for example, if they say, a product that was persuasive. In the audio, they will say persuasive products. Persuasive products. But now they have written that was. Was means answer will be singular. In the past, but it will be singular answer. If they write that were, then answer could be plural. Now, in this case, if you write plural answer, your answer will be considered wrong because you are violating the rule. That was means singular.
New ways of promoting goods were introduced too. Previously, the focus had been on informing potential customers about the availability of goods. Now, there was an explosion in advertising trying to persuade people to go shopping.
Advertising trying to persuade people to go shopping. So advertising that was persuasive. Trying to persuade people. Persuasive and trying to persuade people. Persuade means to convince. Advertising. The right answer is not advertisement. Answer is advertising. Tising. Right? By the way, they accept British and American spelling both. If sometimes it's S and Z, so it's that. Okay? Just focus.
New ways of promoting goods were introduced too. Previously, the focus had been on informing potential customers about the availability of goods. Now, there was an explosion in advertising trying to persuade people to go shopping.
Advertising trying to persuade people to go shopping. Advertising that was persuasive. Okay, now what you guys have to do, the way we went through this complete test, whenever you practice after doing the first session with the test, when you do the test first time, you will do it non-stop. You will not stop the audio, you will not actually play the audio again, but once it is done, check your answers, and then wherever you have the wrong answers, listen to the audio again. And from each question, you have to learn one thing: the language of the question on question booklet and the language of the audio. And how these two languages are different in wording, but same in meaning. In meaning they are same, but in wording they are different. So once you learn more and more synonyms, like for better they use improved, for this word they use that, automatically your listening will become better and you'll be able to get more right answers. Okay? All the best.